One of them was the year that we decided to get the $12.99 Christmas tree, which was dropping needles from the minute we brought it into the house, and more and more and more. And finally on Christmas morning, my daughter was so excited. And I'm trying to remember how old she was, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6. And she tripped and fell into the tree, and the tree was already falling apart and came out. The poor little thing was covered with Christmas tree needles.
My holiday horror story is that I have kids who are now grown, but when they were little, inevitably somebody would topple the tree down, grab an ornament, and the whole tree would come down. So now our solution, and even to this day, my kids are older, but we tie it to the curtain rods with dental floss.
I think it was last Christmas. I was stringing up lights on the house, and I had that moment where I have a ladder that reaches the top of the house, but I put it at such a steep angle when I got up there, I fell backwards on it. But there was a tree right in our front yard right behind, so I did land on the tree and then had to kick off and like go back to the thing. And meanwhile, like my neighbor is watching this whole scenario, like trying to run out, like throw on a coat, come out and try to help me, but I'm like taking care of myself. I kick it, throw it back, and get down off the ladder. Like, okay, I keep that at a little more of an angle, so it's not so bad.
Me and my family do a huge Thanksgiving every year, and we usually have like 50, 60 people every year. We rent a hall. And one year, we ran out of mashed potatoes. Like literally like half the people couldn't have mashed potatoes. So we had to do a quick run. I think they went to like an open pantry or something and literally cleared them out of instant mashed potatoes, and they were not good.
My wife and I live in a 100-year-old house, and it's got all kinds of nightmares. Well, the first year that we owned the house, we decided we'd have everybody over for Thanksgiving. And so we got up early and we were cooking, and midway through the day, probably about 2 hours before dinner, the sink clogged. And at this point, I'm dressed up, my father-in-law is over there, he's all dressed up, and we're doing our plumbing, taking the sink apart. We could not get this thing to drain. Ended up calling a plumber on Thanksgiving to come over and fix it. And he got there, got the thing fixed, snaked it out, I think all the way to Madison. I don't know how far that snake went, and got everything up and running before everybody came for dinner. So it ended well, but it was kind of a nightmare for us.
We had a dog that would open Christmas gifts. And it was always, you had to keep the dog away from the gifts, because early on, the dog figured out, because we gave the dog a dog toy. And it obviously could smell it, so it went in and just decided to learn how to open packages. From there on out, the dog opened the packages.